Mailbag this Saturday. So next set of guests I've got for you to meet, Rhea Alton, Ben Calder and Chris Burt, all from Shropshire Festival, which has taken me a while to get my tongue round, but I think I've just about managed it. Give me what's happening. It's the first time this has ever happened, isn't it?
It is. So basically we wanted to put together an event that looked at giving people information and advice and food and drink based basically around the freeform theme. It started off just looking at the basics of gluten-free and dairy-free, and then it's grown. So we've got a plastic-free theme and a freeform technology kids area and a cookery theatre, lecture theatre, producers. So we're hoping it's going to be quite, a brilliant event.
I noticed that you are on the What's On list with a lecture entitled Food and Fibromyalgia.
That's right.
I know what one of those things is. I don't know what the other is. So enlighten me.
So fibromyalgia is a condition that a lot of people suffer from that involves a variety of symptoms like fatigue and irritable bowel syndrome, and sort of all sorts of problems like that. And one of the ways of not keeping it under control, but basically assisting the symptoms is using free-from food. But it's one of those things where nobody's actually really said exactly what you should do. Different people do different things. And I thought it would be really great, as a sufferer myself, to basically get everyone in a room and have a discussion about what foods they are free from.
Share tips almost.
Yeah, share tips, how it's affected them, how they... for example, I do low gluten and low dairy just because I find that easier to enjoy food more.
Yes.
But obviously there are people who do no gluten and no dairy, and I would like to find out from them the sorts of things.
Because is living without cheese living at all?
Well, but, that's the sort of thing we want to chat about. So I thought it would be a really good place where everybody was sort of in one place, and there may be a lot of people who are free from due to fibromyalgia, so that we can have a chat about it.
On a serious note, how much does it impact your day-to-day life?
For me, I've done really well in the fact I'm very lucky that it doesn't impact me too much. A lot of people with fibromyalgia don't work at all.
Okay. So it can be really debilitating.
It can be, yeah. I run my own business, and I have a fantastic business partner and a great husband. So it means I can work when I can work, and when I can't work, and when I can't look after the children, other people step in for me. So I'm really lucky in that sort of way.
Painful?
Yeah, it can be extremely painful. It's hard to know sometimes whether you've got fibromyalgia or whether you've actually twisted a muscle or pulled a muscle, because it can be sort of that sort of pain. But you get used to it after a while, and you kind of understand the best ways to deal with it.
So learning how to manage it is key.
Yeah.
Reducing the risk of a flare-up.
Exactly. And being free from in lots of food and various things is a big way of management.
So, Ben, allergies and kinesiology.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Kinesiology. Yeah,
Kinesiology.
You did pretty well, yeah.
Again, I know what one of those things is, I don't know what the other is. So what's that about?
So with kinesiology, it's a form of assessment that we test muscles. So we're looking at nervous system resilience and responsiveness, and we can do that in relation to various substances, because our nervous system is really observant. It's watching everything that's going on around us, regardless of how aware we are. Okay. And when different substances enter into our environment, either through our breathing, either our skin, through our digestion, the nervous system is having a response within that. So with kinesiology, we can actually look at that, we can assess it, so we can work out things. It can be incredibly complex. Some of the relationships that are involved in some of these things are crazy, but it's a really simple way of demonstrating to people, okay, if you have this substance, you can watch your body go weak as we enter it into your system. So
how have you come to become an expert in this?
So exactly 20 years ago this year, I attended a lecture on hacking your body's computer, and the person who was giving it was a kinesiologist, and they were talking about ways of actually kind of getting into the unconscious aspects of the body to learn what was going on with it. And at the time, I had really severe allergic rhinitis, which is like hay fever, but all year round, and I had psoriasis. So I went up to this lady after the lecture and said, I've got these problems, do you think you could help? And she just said to me, sit down and let's find out. And that kind of began a journey into having kinesiology work done for myself, having massive improvements in my health at the time, and then being so excited about what was happening, but also at the same time quite confused about how it was happening, that I put myself on a training course. And
so Maisie, who works on the show, has the rhinitis one and the the dairy issue as
Okay,
well.
sure, yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of people who share these. These aren't uncommon, are they?
I tell you, just looking at some statistics for this recently, 44%
Wow.
of British adults have one or more allergy.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, and that
Does
number is only
everyone
going
know?
up. No,
Right.
quite often they don't. So allergies don't have to be what we would say is a classic anaphylaxis. It doesn't have to be something that we see immediately. It can be something that takes anything up to 72 hours, and any symptom in your body can be triggered or exacerbated by an allergy.
So, what have you found helps with your particular issues?
So there's a couple of things that are quite obvious. The first is avoidance.
Yeah.
And the second is having a good, healthy diet within itself. So that which is going to build your body up, make it strong, help your own immune system and your digestive systems function properly. And part of the reason why we see such an increase in these things is that the nature of food itself over the last kind of 50, 60 years is changing. And what a lot of people are eating on a typical basis is nowhere near as healthier and as vibrant as it was, back in the 1950s when Britain was just about at its healthiest.
Was it really in the 1950s? That was the peak,
sure. Yeah.
which you would think is counterintuitive.
Well,
somewhat.
it was a great time for us because we still had rationing, which meant a lot of the stuff that we needed to avoid, like sugar and wheat and other things, were quite
you
limited.
legally had to avoid it.
Yeah, sure, because there wasn't much around. People were doing a lot of allotment growing, and because we weren't in a large-scale kind of agro-farming industry then, there wasn't a lot of pesticides or fertilizers being used, and people were also wildcrafting. So people were going out into the countryside and picking whatever they could find out there that was edible. And so we actually had one of the best levels of health at that time because of all of that natural, seasonal, homegrown food that was being made in simple ways.
What's the specific stuff you have to avoid?
So for me, one of my biggest triggers is sugar.
Right.
So I really have to avoid
That's a shame.
that one. It is, but thankfully, due to the work that I've done with my kinesiology, I do have a tolerance to it. So I can have a certain amount, but if I exceed that, so if I have a box of kind of chocolates or something like that, then the next day I'm going to have more mucus. I'll see sneezing coming up. So I kind of know my limits and I know how to manage them, and I just do what needs to be done to keep my gut healthy as well. So good bacteria. Try and avoid fruit and vegetables that have been washed in chlorine bleach because that has an effect of sterilising the gut.
Well, just the words chlorine bleach doesn't sound great, to be honest.
Sure. But just about every product that you buy, every vegetable that you buy that's washed has been washed in a weak chlorine bleach solution. I'm afraid so.
Wow.
And you see over time now, technically the levels of that are still within safe limits. But when we're talking about doing that 3 or 4 times a day, over 5, 10, 15 years, slowly the gut bacteria gets quite significantly affected and can have a massive implication, not just in our physical health, but in our mental health, inflammation, joint problems, mental functioning. It's quite significant stuff.
Chris, you're a chef.
I am indeed.
How is that where your connection with this comes from, or do you have your own intolerances?
I'm just allergic to pineapple.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just that. I'm there really to do paleo, aren't I? Which is the caveman diet.
Yes.
Okay.
Which was massively in fashion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And still is, I guess.
But it's a diet that I follow.
Okay.
For me, I've found it. I don't feel so because I'm on my feet a lot. Obviously, working in catering. Eating a big bowl of pasta or a big bowl of noodles, which is what I used to do back in the day, I can't do it anymore. So a nice piece of organic meat, some berries, some nuts. There are certain foods that I avoid. I don't eat an awful lot of dairy either, because I find it makes me a bit sluggish and mucusy. Same sort of thing.
Pretty much got rid of carbs.
But I'm not really intolerant to it. It's just that I choose not to eat it because there will be an effect from me ingesting it.
Have you pretty much gotten rid of carbs? Is that part of it?
Mostly, yeah. And actually, same at the restaurant. Obviously, there are certain things that you're never going to be able to get rid of, fish and chips and things like that. But actually, for the mainstay, I'll try and keep it as low carb as possible. And in my industry, we have dairy. We have dietaries in all the time. In fact, we estimated that 15% of all our customers that come have some sort of either dietary intolerance or simply a lifestyle choice that, you know, they want to avoid certain food. So we've got to be really flexible and really on it, because actually sometimes removing too much from a food item will either make that into a heavily processed item, which is what we don't want to do, because you don't want to put that in your body. We want to keep it as fresh and vibrant and light as we possibly can. So actually, I always consider it a real challenge. I love it. You know, when people come in, you get a lot of chefs go, "Oh no, we've got a vegan that's gluten free." Brilliant, bring it on, because actually that's what stimulates our creativity and actually, in essence, helps us find new ingredients to work with, which is great, because you know you're building a repertoire of things that you can draw.
You become
upon.
a bit like a scientist, don't you? A bit experimental, and that's fun.
But it's great. Honestly, it really, really is, and I'm really passionate about it. When anybody comes in with a dietary, there isn't one I would ever say no to. I love it.
How much better do you feel? Why do you continue to follow the diet that you do? What are the sort of practical manifestations?
I don't feel as tired. I don't feel as sleepy. I'm training for a 10k run in Uganda next week, and actually it's been great because...
Why Uganda?
I'm doing it for Self-Help Africa.
Wow.
So
have you been before?
No, this is the first. But I'm training for it, and actually, if I'm sat there just eating carbs, the last thing I'm going to want to do is go for a run. And the worst thing to do is do it after I've come back from a run,
right? Because
I'm not actually burning it off. So I'm not a big eater anyway, but what I eat, I want to really enjoy. I want it packed with flavour, packed with nutrients, all the things that I need. And I don't feel the need for big bowls of pasta, and I'll have a bit of toast occasionally, but I'm not big into it.
Modern food rubbish.
It's processed.
By and large.
It's not. You've just got to be really careful about what you buy,
right.
or just really knowledgeable about what you buy. You know, I did a lecture, Filter Fork, about chocolate a couple of weeks back, and most people in this country will buy crap chocolate. But what they don't realise is that there's hardly any cacao butter in it. It's mainly vegetable oil and sugar. That's not chocolate, you know. If you have proper chocolate, proper fresh, vibrant,
bitter,
really take, not necessarily, because you don't have to use processed white sugar. Like the chocolate that I get contains panela, which is the sugar cane that grows in between the cacao trees. So it's not a processed sugar, but you still get that sweetness, but you don't have to put as much in.
So why don't things just contain good stuff? Is it because it's cheaper to produce?
Of course, yeah.
Mass produce in a way that's processed,
and the population is a lot bigger than it was. And people, you know, it's convenient for them. It's convenient to go into the supermarket and buy some pre-prepared chopped fruit rather than just buy an apple or a banana. Do you know what I mean? And for me, that's the world gone mad. Like my son, we were in the supermarket a few weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh, look, snack attack." I'm like, No. I tell you what, we'll buy some berries and we'll buy some bananas and we'll buy some oranges instead of buying something that, let's be honest, the plastic's damaging the environment. Yeah. And in essence, they're ripping you off. And what have they sprayed on it to keep it that? Once you open
and give it that shine.
Yeah. And once you open that thread in your mind, then it does make you look at what food we buy as consumers. And I don't buy an awful lot of food as a consumer because I'm in the catering industry, so I'm at work. So I consider myself privileged because I get to eat wonderful things whenever I want.
Almost as you go.
Yeah. Whereas actually, for somebody that's doing a 9 to 5, their only choice is the supermarket, or they cook fresh at home. But have they got time?
Do you have to be careful as a chef not to eat too much as well?
Not from my perspective, but I've worked with chefs that they will just gorge on cheese, you know. But then if there's some fantastic Iberico ham there, you know, that's a good natural product. You know, olives, great natural product. But yeah, if there's chips left over in a bowl, what are they going to do? I personally don't do that anymore, but I've known a lot of chefs over the years.
I draw the line talking about cheese, ready grated. That.
Yeah,
that's
not
14
cheese.
seconds.
It's not cheese.
Right.
It's not cheese, is it? Really?
Right. Straw poll then. Do more people have allergies, or do more people just know they have allergies now? You always get it wasn't like this X years ago. Is it just because people didn't know?
It's both.
Right.
So because of changes, as Chris has rightly said, changes in our food production, the nature of it, the convenience of it, the levels of stress in our life, and there are a number of other factors that really contribute towards these changes. So more and more people are developing allergies, plus the education awareness about it is increasing.
Yeah.
So between sort of 2012 and 1992, there was something like a 614% increase in anaphylaxis seen
and that's severe.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
life-threatening,
So that's life-threatening allergy.
That's not a minor intolerance, is it?
No, sure. And again, Chris talking about how he doesn't eat dairy now because he feels that mucus in there. A lot of people are just not aware of how symptoms that they're having might have anything to do with their diet, because a lot of our eating is actually unconscious. And we like Chris said, we're kind of busy. We wander around. We want to eat. We grab something that kind of has a colour or a shape that we feel is okay.
Hey, you're eating with your eyes, isn't it?
Yeah,
Rather than
sure.
with your head.
Yeah, and a lot of the time we're still on our phones, or we're still at the desk at work, or we're dealing with kids, and we're just troughing the stuff in. We don't really think about what we're eating. We're not stopping to consider it. We don't give ourselves time and space to do it. And so the way that the body is then interpreting that as it takes it in, because literally eating with our eyes is a big thing. So how many people are watching the news or EastEnders or something else that isn't actually nurturing and nutritive to them when they're eating?
Yeah.
And the body's actually going into nervous system states that could be adverse to digestion. So we might not even digest our food properly if we're running around or we're watching something on the TV that is anything less than, I always recommend people are either watching comedy or watching nature. If you're going to watch something while you eat and you have to have the TV on, comedy or nature, so you're laughing or you're seeing something beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, try not to have the TV on. But that change in our behaviours, in our lifestyles, the time we have, less people are taking time to prepare food, and some of these processed foods that we see in supermarkets, it's scary how long ago that they were prepared.
I travel a lot covering sport, and constantly on a Saturday I'll eat 3 times, and in each of those 3 times I'm picking the least worst option.
Sure.
Whether it's at a service station because I'm on the motorway somewhere, or at an event, or you're constantly having to go, I'm not sure if there is an option here that's good. Are there sort of life hacks, things that are generally available that are all right?
I think lots of people struggle with kind of quick snacking and that kind of thing. What I try to do with my kids is I try to at home make sure I prepare nice things for them, and that I give them all sorts of different veg and fruit and things because I know that when we go out on Saturday, they're gonna want things, and I also want them to have it because I don't want them just to eat fruit and vegetables all the time and never to try because we've got Planet Donut coming to the festival with their vegan.
Love Planet Donut.
Oh, it's amazing. I would save my health insurance all week to get some donuts, on a Saturday, and that.
So it is balance.
Yeah, and I think
a lot of it is.
If I know I'm going away, I know, for example, I've been setting up the show that yesterday and today, and the office always gets pizza. Because, everyone's working, everyone only has a very quick time for lunch. We bring in the pizzas, and do that stuff. And for somebody who's gluten-free, pizza is quite tough.
Yes.
But I think to myself, if I can just keep myself completely, healthy at home, I can take that pizza and eat that pizza, and I'm walking it off on that showground. So I can take that in. So I tend to try and plan the times that I can be good. I'd be good, but then the times that I can't be, I just, realise that there are limits to when you're trying to, be as healthy as you can possibly be.
We will go through everything you've got on, because it looks quite an extensive plan. Ray Alton, Ben Calder and Chris Burt from Shrewsbury Festival. I did it again. Festival, which is this week, after Brian Adams.
You'll find my
New from Brian Adams, All or Nothing on BBC Radio Shropshire. I'm Mark Elliott. This is a 7 o'clock show in conversation with Ray Alton, Ben Calder and Chris Burt, who are all part of Shrewsbury Festival. Did it that time. Shropshire Festival. Yeah. Got cocky. See? Now, talk me through the running order and everything you've got. Who's in charge of that? Everyone's looking at you.
I know. Yeah, technically, I'm going to have to whip over the programme to double check to make sure I'm... So basically, the main focus of the show is on our lecture theatre and our cookery theatres.
It's the showground?
Yes, it's the Westmid Showground in Coton Hill. So we have a big cookery theatre, and at 11 o'clock, Legina Masala will be showing off some gluten-free goodness.
Okay.
At 12:15, Chris will go on, and he'll do the low-carb and...
The
caveman diet.
Do you like doing that, cooking in public, by the way?
Oh, I love it.
Almost show cooking.
12, 13 festivals last year.
Oh, wow.
So, and I think there's the same this year. Yeah. I love it.
Wow. There you go.
He was one of the first ones we approached. We knew Chris would want to get on board.
We'd have been approaching you if you hadn't, so fine.
At Harpers, we've got Richard Fletcher from the Pheasant. He's doing our dairy-free dishes. So he'll be stepping up to do that. And then at 2:45, we've got Jenny Tichy. So Jenny is known as the lunchbox doctor, and she prepares... exactly what it says on the tin. She does lunch boxes for kids that are a bit healthier, but obviously all parents want kids to be a bit healthier. So she's going to show them how to do it, how to make the kids sort of a bit healthier without the kids throwing the food back at you. So she'll step up then. And then Legina goes back on the stage at 4 o'clock to do vegan dishes. So she'll be cooking up some vegan delights at that time. And then in our lecture theatre, we have at 11:45. We have Claire McDonnell, I think it's Louis, who is doing free-from food as medicine and lowering sugar. Basically, Claire has 2 children who had severe allergies and problems, and she looked to free-from food to basically, as Ben said, use it as a way to control that. And lowering sugar was a big part of it. So as well as doing a lecture in the lecture theatre, she's going to be doing family workshops. So any families that go along can go in and find out how to do it. Its basic theme through Festival is about finding out how to do it. We don't just want to tell people what they should be doing. We want to show them how. At 12:30, it's Ben. He will take to the lecture theatre stage for the allergies and kinesiology.
Yeah, and epigenetics. Yeah.
And epigenetics, that's it. And then at 1:15, we've got Robin Nugent and Tom Holt from Passo Primero, and Robin is from the Market Hall. They're talking on vegan wine, basically the story of vegan wine and European wine and benefits.
Why would wine not be vegan?
Well, now, they will probably be better, but it's definitely something about...
Fish eggs.
Yeah, they use animal... I'm sure they use animal...
Yeah, it's fish
bits.
findings for clarification.
That's
and
it.
also
That's
a lot
it.
of them have gluten in, surprisingly.
Right.
Yeah, and gelatin in some. You'd be surprised what ends
Fish
up
in your wine.
Yeah, so they'll be talking about, why you should... In fact, I'm predicting this.
This is half the battle, isn't it? Did you know there is this in this? Because
Most people would say no. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get a bit put off.
They're going to say that everybody really should be looking, to drink vegan wine at some stage and try it out and have a drink. So there'll be, and also Tom from Passo Primero and Darren from Gin Different in the Market Hall are running our bar, because we've got a big free-from bar with the vegan wine, the gin and tonic, and gluten-free beers as well from Freedom. And then at 2:45, Pablo Spall will talk in the lecture theatre. He's talking on chocolate and meditation, which I'm quite excited about, to be honest. Chocolate and meditation.
By that point in the festival, you might need it.
Yeah, I'll have been to the free-from bar and I'll be, ready for some chocolate and meditation. But he's also got Forever Cacao. There's raw chocolate. He's also got a stand there as well, so that you can buy your raw chocolate. I think, should you want to go home and meditate.
Yeah, I've been to some of Pablo's chocolate and meditation, and I can highly recommend it.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. At 3:30, Sam Winterflood is going to talk on action on plastic. So Sam is from the new Green Options Zero Waste store that's opened in Shrewsbury.
Okay, yeah.
So he's going to come along and talk to people about how to reduce plastic in the home and why you should be reducing plastic in the home. And then at 4:15, I will chair the fibromyalgia talk. along with Ben. Actually, Ben's going to join me so that he can chat through as well how different symptoms of fibromyalgia can be helped in different ways.
Is this event your brainchild, your baby?
Yes, I think so. Basically, Ian at the West Midlands Showground, it was his idea, and he said to me, well, you know, what do you think? Do you think, you know, there are enough people in Shropshire and the Midlands who would want to find out about this information? Because in the office we drink A2 milk, which is a milk that's got a certain protein missing, and we drink that regularly in the office. It's a bit like lactose free, but just and we were talking over a cup of tea with A2 milk, and he said, do you think enough people would want to find out and would want to ask the questions we ask? Because we were generally asking questions about freeform. And I replied, yes. And there Festival was born, and basically it's grown. But Festival is, it's not just me. It became sort of everybody. I went to Chris and Beth Heath behind Shropshire Festivals. I went to Beth and Ben, and I said, look, this is what we like to do. Do you think we can do it, and can you help? And everybody that I spoke to said yes, and all of the people involved in this event are making it what it is. So, nervous.
First one is
I'm absolutely petrified. All I keep saying to everyone is just pray for some sunshine, but everything is undercover, and it's all about information. So rain
and frankly,
or
there's a lot of great food there.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Go and fill your beats.
Exactly. So we are hopeful that everyone's going to turn out for us on Saturday, because if they do, what they're going to see is brilliant, if I say so myself.
Has this been, professionally, as somebody who works in restaurants, and has this been the biggest change recently, the amount you have to take into consideration on your menu? Almost.
I think the last sort of 5-6 years.
Yeah, that recent.
And it's changed, because there was a change in the law with the allergens for us.
Right.
So there's 13 allergens on the FSA list, and every chef basically in the country had to do that. It was an online test, and it changed the way that we label everything. So even in the restaurant, if you're making something that contains peanuts, you have to say that it contains peanuts.
And how careful do you have to be when you're making something with peanuts
you've got to be pretty careful, and equally it's things like vegetable oils that you can buy will contain gluten. And also, if you're cooking gluten, if you're doing fish and chips in a fryer, you can't then cook something in it for a celiac, because that oil, irrespective of whether you've drained it, still has traces of gluten. It depends on the level of intolerance as well, because I know people that are allergic to peanuts, severely allergic, and then somebody has a mild. So you've got to be extremely mindful all the time. But also you've got to be realistic, because if you can't, if I've got sesame and I've got peanut, and somebody comes in with both of those allergies, I have to say that, yes, we've got a kitchen, so your food will be prepared in a separate area. However, those two potential allergens are in the same kitchen. And you'll see that on modern day packaging. This biscuits. Like, you've got some biscuits there.
May contain.
No, not may contain. Are made in a factory.
It literally says that.
Yeah, it literally says that. So when the allergen thing came in, it was really big, and the environmental health were really hot on it. And actually, they did have the message, and they did it in a way that now everybody has to do it, and everybody conformed. Everybody moaned at the time, but actually, it made chefs more aware, because we could see the way the wind was blowing, because it made, because the last thing you want to do is alienate customers, first and foremost, because as chefs and people that work in the front of house, that's their livelihood, so you don't want to alienate anybody. But actually, if you can educate yourself, then you can give somebody that's a severe celiac, just as good a food experience as somebody that hasn't. And really that's the sort of thing. You don't want to alienate people. You actually want to embrace them, and like Ria said, it's education.
Now, Maisie said I've got a dairy fact, which piqued my interest. She sent it to me. She says Australian Aboriginals are, a lot of them, lactose intolerant due to not being exposed to cows, basically not having cows as a farmed animal. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And also a high percentage of Afro-Americans are also dairy intolerant, more than you'd see in Caucasian populations.
So when you have issues, you spoke a little bit about sort of training yourself. You can build up tolerances.
It depends what it is. There are certain things. I mean, one of the things that I look at, and one of the things that I'm going to be doing at the festival is looking at epigenetic body types. So these are genetic predispositions that exist in certain aspects of the population. And so there are certain predispositions that myself, as what's known as an adrenal type, actually I find it really difficult to process casein, which is found mainly in cheese, and also something called alpha-solanine.
How did you find out what sort of type you are?
This is exactly what I'm doing at the festival. So you can come along with myself and my colleague Maria Franklin from Centre for Integral Health here in Shrewsbury. We're going to be demonstrating in the workshop area where we are. We're going to be demonstrating epigenetic body typing with people. So you can come along. We'll do some kinesiology, do some muscle testing, and show you without a doubt exactly what type you are. Because interestingly enough, our genetic morphology, so like the proportion of our fingers to the size of our palms, our height, and a number of other factors all give away.
He did this to me
Really?
at the restaurant. Yeah.
What did it teach you?
I shouldn't eat tomatoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, true story, wasn't
that's
it? Yeah, I shouldn't eat tomatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's part of the nightshade family, and so all of the nightshade family, there are two really interesting toxins in the nightshade family. One is alpha-solanine, which is one of the things that makes certain parts of the population more prone to arthritis, because the solanine increases inflammation in the joints if you're prone to it, and also something called atropine, which used to be known just as tomato toxin. And again, this is something we find in the nightshade family. So there are certain compounds that certain genetic profiles, because there's either information that's not there or something else has happened within that genetic profiling over long periods of history, and those bodies just can't process that information. And so there's always going to be some sort of reaction to it, whether it's something that's severe or something that's minor. But we're going to be looking at that with people at the festival to give them ideas, because these are not allergies or low tolerances. These are just the way your body's going to look at this thing, and it's not quite the same. But there are certain people that just can't cope with certain foods. Certain people definitely can't process gluten. Certain people definitely can't process dairy produce. But there's about 15 food toxins that we look at, and they include things like tyramine, which you find in aging and mature foods, the atropine that I've mentioned, theobromide, which is in chocolate, things like betaine that you get in beetroot and sugar beets. So there are certain compounds that are only found in certain foods. Some people just can't metabolize them, and therefore they're always going to contribute towards ill health. A little bit like putting the wrong fuel in your car. Cars aren't as forgiving as our bodies. So you put it in the car, and the car will start to complain pretty quickly, but the body has a way of kind of getting around it for a while. But part of what we see is, as people get older, these problems start to increase, and often we get told, well, it's just your age, you can expect it. But really it's about extended bad habit, and the body coping for a certain amount of time, but getting to a point where it just can't adapt around it anymore. And with maybe stress from lifestyle, hectic schedule, whatever else that's going on, even things like surgery or accidents can increase the level of stress that a body's under. So add to that things from poor diet or a difficult relationship or a boss that you don't get on with, and the body is just like, I can't do this anymore, something's got to change.
Sounds fascinating. So when did it start?
So we are opening our gates at the showground at 10 o'clock on Saturday, and then the Cookery Theatre kicks off at 11, Lecture Theatre at 11:45.
On the gate, just turn up.
So tickets are available in advance on Eventbrite or on the festival website until Friday afternoon. They are, I think the early bird tickets are £6.40.
Okay.
It's £8 on the gate, and children are under 16 are free.
Lovely. Well, good luck. And I think we've just about scratched the surface, so I'll have to have you back and do this in a bit more depth, because I feel like I'm learning an awful lot. Thank you so much. Shropshire Festival, yes, is this weekend. Madonna. Red Light on BBC Radio Shropshire. More festival chat, or a big gig at least, after the news at 9 o'clock. Music from the Pet Shop Boys to come before that.
BBC introducing Shropshire with Simon.
I'm going to play you a track. It's a new one from an artist who's been sending us music for a while. It's a new track called Everybody Free.
What did you discover today as well?
It's by an artist called Koala T. And I stop it, Maisie. I will explain why Maisie is laughing at me, because it was a revelation. Absolute revelation.
A light bulb
Quality.
came on.
Quality. Oh, my word. That has eluded me for 3 years.
Introducing Shropshire's best new music, Saturday evening from 8.
On BBC Radio Shropshire.
Love is on the line when the same mistakes are made over and over and over again. Love is on the line, jealousy fades, and we no longer look back when walking away. I know we still believe in love. I can't believe we're giving up. Oh, I wish that we were strong enough to remember how we were before we tried. Oh, the night is never long enough to forget about the lonely nights we cried when our love was on the line. All we ever did was fight. It no longer matters who's wrong or who's right. And after all this time, nobody wins. There's only the memory of what we have been. I know we still believe in love. I can't believe we're giving up. Oh, I wish that we were strong enough to remember how we were before we tried. Oh, the night is never long enough to forget about the lonely nights we cried. I can't believe it, baby. I can't believe it's true. I can't believe it, baby. I can't believe it's happening to me and you. I can't believe it, baby. Can't believe we're through. Oh, I wish that we were strong enough to remember how we were before we tried. Oh, the night is never long enough to forget about the lonely nights we cried. Oh, I wish that we were strong enough to remember how we were before we tried.
Jack Davaretti, Love on the Line on BBC Radio Shropshire. News to come with Moira at 9. Pet Shop Boys will get you there.